We're at the location of GPS test section 483629. This test section is on Interstate Highway 10, eastbound, between Columbus, Texas, and Sealy, Texas. We're here to do a visual distress survey of the test section prior to placement of a slurry seal. You can see that the inside lane has been slurry sealed already. Ballou Construction Company is putting the slurry seal down. It's got a thickness of about 3/8 of an inch, maybe a little less. Ballou is currently, their equipment is currently located just over that rise, and they'll be heading this way here in just a few minutes. The purpose of this video is to document any distress prior to covering the pavement surface. We've walked the section already and have found that really the only predominant distress feature is bleeding. You can see here in the wheel paths roughly 5 feet of bleeding. I've talked with Gerald Freitag of the Texas State Highway Department, who indicated they put this seal coat down on the pavement surface and used too heavy a binder, which has created a bleeding problem for them and a drastic reduction in skid. He said the current skid numbers are about 20 or thereabouts, which are much too low for a facility with this high traffic. You can see here some patching along the outside edge and then right there in the wheel path, localized patching of the surface. You can also see here the bleeding in the patch. It's been extremely hot here, so there you can make out a tennis shoe print in the excess asphalt that's bleeding to the surface. Our visual review of the site did not reveal any cracking, but with a mix this rich, I wouldn't expect any. There is some slight rutting here, not an excessive amount, but we will be measuring that momentarily. Here you can see a place that looks like it might be stripping a little bit. "200 feet into the section, there's still no obvious evidence of cracking. Only bleeding in the interior wheel path predominantly, probably from the lane edge to about middle of the lane, so about 5 feet or so, and then about a 2-foot strip in the outside lane. This is typical for the entire section, as you may be able to make out in this view to the east. Mark that one on your calendar. There seems to be a lull in the traffic on Interstate Highway 10. We're about 350 feet into the section, and still you can see the bleeding in the wheel paths primarily, and now it's a little more extensively here noticed along the lane center line also, but predominantly still only in the outside wheel path and some in the inside wheel path. Approaching 500 feet into the section, or the end of the GPS test section, you can see that still no real evidence of cracking. Here you can see the material sampling and field testing locations. Evidence of the richness of this mix can be seen by the way where these cores are. They're depressions where the asphalt that was used to patch the core sank down into the hole, and the surrounding asphalt layer just kind of depressed around it instead of spalling off, which you might expect on a drier mix. The view to the east towards Sealy and on to Houston. Ballou Construction Company, as I said, is doing the slurry seal. Appears very similar to that used in San Antonio on the Pilot SPS-3 work. Looking west, you can see looking back over the section. I don't know if you can really make it out, the bleeding in both wheel paths. Anyone who saw our SPS-3 pilot work will be familiar with this gentleman, Pierre Peltier and Gerald Freitag in the center. As general interest, they're in the process of collecting traffic data while we're here. What they've done basically is put down a piece of tape to cover the piezo cable and then remove it after the slurry seal is placed. They'll do something very similar in this lane here. They have the computer hooked up to the traffic data collection equipment to begin collection of data. This will conclude the video for 483629, I believe, and we'll get on with rut depth measurements.